Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I got an exciting one for you today. It's my In the News show, and there's been some pretty significant movement in a bunch of the gold stocks. You can see why in this gold chart. We've had a tremendous breakout in the last 4 or 5 trading days. Now trading on the futures market at 36.08 and 50 cents, or up additional $16.30. It was up, let's look at the 5 minute chart. It was up quite so dramatically earlier in the day and is getting even stronger here overnight. And I did a big show yesterday. Oh, we're having some technical difficulties here. Hold on a second. Let me see what's going on. We What has really transpired, I think, and I talked about this on my big weekend show yesterday, so I'm not going to get into a lot of the reasons. The basics are that between the Fed chairman talking about the possibility of cutting interest rates, and also, I think the announcement by Trump that he was going to fire one of the Federal Reserve people, I think it sent a message that interest rates are coming down, which will put pressure on the U.S. dollar, and that will be very bullish for gold. Other factors are what I always talk about, which is the death spiral of debt, the cost of servicing the debt, the likelihood that stagflation is kicking in. And again, I went over all those reasons in yesterday's show. That was a marathon session of 3.5 hours. So I'm not going to do it again today, but I did want to mention that this is a beautiful breakout. And we're seeing a similar thing happening with silver. Uh, as you can see, $41.77 on the futures. Got to go back to the 2001 to 2011 bull market since the last time it traded at over $40 a share, or $40 an ounce. And I think it's onwards and upwards from here to hit towards $50 and then on to record highs. Um, when I was preparing to do this show, my plan was to talk about companies that are breaking out. And in reality, I could have talked about several companies today, almost all the same ones that I talked about yesterday on my show on Labor Day. So I kind of cut it off at companies that have broken out more than gold broke out by 2%, 2 times. So gold was up a couple percent, and this group I've got here of several of them were up more than that. So they were up like double that, 4% or more. So I'm going to talk about those, but first, the star of the show today was McEwen Mining. As you can see, it was up 20% today, $3.18 to $18.96. I've been saying for a long time that I think that this has a tremendous value proposition, and I feel vindicated today that people started to realize that in a significant way because it traded a lot more than it usually trades on a daily basis, and it was up 20%. And so, what caused that was this news release that they had out today. McEwen reports attractive gold intercepts at Grey Fox. Results support resource growth ahead of upcoming resource estimate. Gibson, 10.1 grams per ton of gold over 5.8 meters and 10.4 grams per ton over 5.6 meters. At the GFS zone, 4.8 grams per ton of gold over 14.9 meters. So some really beautiful drill results there. They talked about the strategic highlights, consistent high-grade results. Drilling continues to deliver attractive gold grades and demonstrate continuity across key zones, including expansion, Gibson expansion and GFS. Resource growth potential. New intercepts illustrate the potential for near-term resource expansion, building on the current Grey Fox resource of 1.5 million gold ounces at 3.64 grams per ton of gold indicated and 458 grams per ton of gold at 3.3 or sorry, ounces of gold at 3.30 grams per ton gold inferred. Now, the beautiful thing about that is this is a low cost area. So you're looking at less than 1 gram of cost to get it out of there. And that would make for very profitable mining. Exploration outlook, geological similarities with large regional deposits such as Canadian Malartic, reinforced Grey Fox growth potential. Now, that's very important to pay attention to the geological similarities to Canadian Malartic. It's one of the best gold mines in Canada right now. And so when you start realistically being able to compare it to something like that, that's really important. Upcoming milestones are updated Grey Fox resource estimate scheduled for October of 2025. So we're just weeks away from that. They give you the highlights. They give you the project update. And there's a great quote from Rob McEwen in this news release. He's the CEO and chief owner of McEwen Inc. He stated, and I quote, "We're delighted to have four key projects driving our gold mining business in both the near and long term. Exploration drilling on our Fox complex, specifically Grey Fox, continues to exceed expectations, while underground development at our Stock Mine and Froome West is progressing well. We are also encouraged by the potential of our Nevada projects, where drilling will provide further exploration updates. Our development work at the Stock Mine and Froome West positions us to increase gold production and lower costs in 2026, while Grey Fox remains our key project for long-term growth. With gold performing exceptionally well, our gold-focused projects and operations put McEwen in a strong position to take advantage of higher prices. Our goal over the next few years is clear: to grow annual output beyond 200,000 gold ounces and reduce production costs, generating stronger margins," end quote. So, they're talking about the near term, the long term, and they've got a great group of assets to achieve those goals. Um, see if there's any maps in this one. So this one, yeah, that's about all that I wanted to show you out of this news release. This is just an indication of look at all the stacked veins that are in this system, and they're all loaded up with gold. And that's why they're talking about comparisons to here's another. This is an image of the entire mineralized lenses, and there's hundreds of them, and it ranges from a few grams all the way up into very high grades as well. And so, when I look at the valuation of McEwen Mining, and this is or McEwen Inc., this is the case I've been trying to make of why I think it has such a value proposition. Is one, you look at it, if you look at it from a gold perspective, um, these days, 100,000 ounces of gold gets a company about an 800, between an 800 million valuation to over $2 billion. This company is producing around 135,000 ounces this year, and they currently only have about a $500 million valuation. So just on what they have today, let alone where it's taking them to over 200,000 ounces over the next few years, I would make the case that their gold story alone makes them tremendously undervalued. But then when you throw on that they've also got one of the world's best copper development projects. When you consider that it is in the top 10 as far as size, and it's also in the lowest cost quartile. This makes for, and it has a long mine life measured in decades. These are exactly the kind of copper projects that the world needs more of. And we just don't have enough copper production, and the pipeline is weak, and there's not a lot of great development projects. So not only do they have a very compelling story on a value proposition just on their gold mining assets alone, you throw in there that you, as a kicker, you got a world-class copper development project that's getting close to providing a feasibility study on it. And these are the reasons that I think there's such a compelling value proposition. And as you can see, the market recognized that today in a big way. They were up 20%, as I said earlier, on or $3.18 a share to $18.96 a share. That's Canadian, by the way. And so, yeah, I mean, how can I say it any more emphatically than to say that I think that they're still very undervalued just for their their gold mining operations alone, let alone having a world-class copper project to develop as well. And so that was the McEwen Mining. They're the star of the show today. So I wanted to talk about them first. There's a bunch of others here that are significant breakouts, and I'm not gonna, I usually do this in alphabetical order, but I kind of didn't do it that way today. There's no particular um, order. I'm just going to show you some of the companies that are picks in the report and had great days today. Gold again was up a couple percent. Where you take a company like Arizona Metals, they were up 5.13% to 82 cents, which is a 4-cent move. Why I picked them is they are my favorite turnaround play in the metal space these days. They disappointed. A lot of investors were hoping for a much bigger resource than they reported, and the stock got slammed, which is when I started picking them at about, I'd say 78 cents or so. And they got all the way down to 68 cents and now have bounced off of that quite significantly. And I think the catalyst that's going to help them going forward is that they're doing a preliminary economic assessment that could be out at any time now. And so that is the Arizona Metals story. Next up is, hold on a second here, is Golden Cross. Golden Cross has only been trading as a public company for about 8 or 9 months now, since April earlier this year. And they were up 3.57%, so almost double the price of gold movement. And to 87 cents, they were up 3 cents. Why I like this company so much is they have a high grade, they're looking for a high grade gold system in Australia, not very far from the fantastic Fosterville mine. And they're just to the north, the immediate north of another company that I'm going to talk about, Southern Cross, which is a new pick. And Southern Cross has made a phenomenal discovery. And I think that Golden Cross has the potential to make an important discovery as well. And it's in such a fantastic area, about 30 kilometers from the Fosterville mine, which is one of the greatest orogenic gold systems in the world. And Southern Cross, who I'll talk about later, they've found one right next door to Golden Cross, and Golden Cross is drilling now. They're well funded. They got a lot of pending assay results and more drilling to do. They're fortunate that they can pretty much drill year round. And so, yeah, catalyst rich company. in a fantastic area, and they couldn't be drilling at a better time with gold making new record highs. And I think we're just in the start of a new series of record highs for the price of gold. So stay tuned for more news from them. Newfound Gold, I just recently added them to as an official pick. Yesterday, got lucky today. It was up 6.92% or 18 cents a share to $2.78. Now, this is another company that got punished when they put out a resource estimate that the market didn't was looking for more. Now, they're also moving towards bringing their project into production. And I was very happy to pick them because I think that they're going to have a lot of news out on the development front and on the drilling. And I picked them just before they're about to go into a golden cross. So the combination of all those things is why I like Newfound Gold so much. Yeah, take a look at Newfound Gold. Alrighty. Now, earlier I talked about uh, a company that's in Golden Cross that's in Australia, and Southern Cross is right beside them. And I recently made these guys a pick as well. I think it was just as it broke above the 50-day moving average. Today it was up 6.12% or 36 cents a share to $6.24. So substantially outperformed the movement in gold today. This kind of relative strength is why I'm highlighting all these companies today after just talking about them yesterday on my Labor Day show. And what I also explained in that show yesterday was from a technical perspective, you can see a beautiful cup and handle forming here. Here's the left side of the cup, came down, created the bottom of the cup, and now it's starting to go up the right side of the cup. I'm going to watch very closely for when it gets above the $7-ish range. Depending on where you are in a bull market, how long and how deep the cup is or the handle is on a cup and handle can be very short-lived and very mild in its slight correction after it goes up the right side. Another thing that I'll be watching for is how much above the left side of the cup. So let's say that that is at about, let's say $7. So if I see this thing on the right side of the cup go above $7 significant, let's say $7.50, when they do that, the handle is very short and very mild. Sometimes it can only last a few days and then onwards and upwards from there. I'm a big fan of what this company has already found, and I think that they've got a great future ahead of them. And that's the Southern Cross story. Okay, the next one is Quimbaya. Quimbaya is down in Colombia, and they're right beside one of the big success stories in Colombia, which is Aris Mining, which is one of my mid-tier top picks. And they've got the project right immediately beside the Segovia mine that's performing exceptionally well for Aris. And the vein system continues right across um, Aris's ground and then goes right across uh, Quimbaya's ground. And Quimbaya is drilling right now, and I like their chances to hit with the drilling. And if they hit anything that looks like Segovia next door, well, kitty bar the door. This could get really exciting really fast. Today, it substantially outperformed the price of gold. It was up 9.23% or 6 cents a share to 71 cents. And as I said, they've got a lot of pending news with the assay results. And this is another one that you want to take a look at. The next company is Equinox. And Equinox was up 4.83% today. So basically doubled the performance of the percentage gain in the price of gold. They were up 58 cents a share to $12.59 per share. They're fine tuning the full commercial production at their Greenstone mine, and they're started to pour gold at their Valentine Lake mine. When those two get up to full commercial production, this company will be a 1 million ounce gold producer annually, actually above that. And they will be a low cost producer as well. And that's a heck of a combination to have. Companies that are, 1 million ounces or more, and they are a low cost producer below the average cost of their peers tend to outperform. Now, earlier I was talking about a very bullish cup and handle. So here's an actual perfect example of it. You see the left side of the cup is over here, right here on this movement right here. It came down, created the cup, and then it broke out significantly. Now, look at this price here, $10 a share. It blew right past that $10 a share and has only basically had two or three down days since then. So the handle was very mild, very shallow, very short-lived, and onwards and upwards from there. And so, I'm really bullish on Equinox and their and the project that they have, and the work that they're doing, and to get the two mines into full commercial production, which will put them over 1 million ounces of gold, and that low cost producer thing is really important to me. And so that's the Equinox story. All right, Inventus had news out today as well, and performed very well. They got a prepayment of their production from bulk sampling from McEwen Inc. that is using their mill to custom mill or toll mill the bulk sample from Inventus. And their stock was up 8% today, or 2 cents a share to 27 cents. This company has a high grade conglomerate gold system in Ontario, one of the world's greatest gold mines ever was the Witwatersrand mine in South Africa that is also a conglomerate gold system. And so these conglomerates can be very big and very profitable and produce a lot of gold. And I think that Inventus has a very impressive project. And I highly recommend you take a look at the company. They're doing a lot of really great work, and they have a sort of a path to production, which would entail a series of progressively larger bulk samples to get them to the point that they would be then turning into an actual commercial mine. And I like that combination. They got 5 gram per ton gold sitting right at the surface that they can go in with trucks and scoops and scoop out the material, send it over to McEwen Inc.'s mill for toll milling, and they collect money at the other end of the process. So that's a heck of a good combination. Um, Another company that's kind of planning to do something similar is Amex Exploration. And Amex Exploration was up 12.55% today, or 29 cents per share to $2.60. Now they've got a high grade gold system in Quebec. Their Champagne zone has about 850,000 ounces of with an average grade of 16.2 grams per ton of gold that's still open. It's also that's in the measured and indicated category. They also have about another 150,000 ounces in the inferred, and I'm really up at about 10 grams per ton. I'm really optimistic about what that will turn out to be, the inferred, which will give them about 1 million ounces of high grade gold. And those are hard to find these days, especially in a mining friendly jurisdiction like Quebec. And they are also planning to do a bulk sample to assess the grade on a more representative fashion than trying to do it with a bunch of small diameter drill holes. They'll be taking out tons and tons of rock and sending that off for toll milling. And then they plan to, they're doing a preliminary economic assessment. By the way, this company is a sponsor of my reports. And so they're planning on doing a preliminary economic assessment to assess the economics of the Champagne zone being toll milled to start production. Then they would use that money to build their own mill at their property and bring it into full commercial production that way. And so I'm really optimistic about that preliminary economic assessment. And I think it's a good one for you to do your homework on. They are another company that disappointed when they put out their resource estimate. I hope you're noticing a trend here, folks, that a lot of times in these companies that make an important discovery, the market is expecting more than what they deliver, and they can get punished because of that. They got punished all the way down to 80 cents. But as they made it more aware of how the path to production is and the preliminary economic assessment and the bulk sampling, they've really had a tremendous turnaround, going from that 80-cent level all the way to $2.60 today. I'm a big fan of what they have at their Perron project. I think the total resource is at about 2.5 million ounces. The particular one that is the most exciting is the Champagne zone. But when you have a high grade system like that, it can lead you towards covering all your capex, and then your satellite deposits can be, they don't have to pass the economic test of can they build their own mill to process that material. And so that's the Amex story. Next up is Wolfden. Wolfden is, they had news out today as well on their project in Nevada. And they're getting ready to start drilling that project. Why are they not come? Sometimes companies don't always come up on stock charts here. So unfortunately, I can't pull up their chart, but Wolfden had a great day today as well. They were up several percent above the price of gold, the percentage move in gold today. And I'm really excited about the project that they have in Nevada and getting the drilling underway on that. And I think that they've got a good chance to deliver some very good results because this project is underexplored, but it has had some historical work that looks quite promising and just didn't have enough work on it. And now the team at Wolfden, Wolfden is the name of the company, Wolfden. Um, and yeah, I like their project in Quebec or in Nevada a lot. And do your homework on Wolfden. All right, the next company up is this is my I thought I already talked about them. Uh, oh yes, correct. Nuvau Minerals. Nuvau Minerals is quite a unique story in that they have a 1,300 square kilometer project in Quebec. They were up 8.86% today, or 7 cents a share to 86 cents. Now, they got that project from Glencore, Glencore was only focused, this was a mine for since the 1960s. The last company to mine it was Glencore until 2022. But then they had changed their priorities. This was not a core asset, so they moved on and they were looking for a partner. Nuvau was able to do a deal with them to get just the spectacular project, 1,300 square kilometers, mining infrastructure, mill capacity, roads and power and everything that you could ask for, and built by one of the world's largest mining companies. And part of the growth plan is to bring that one of the key projects is the Brace-McMcLeod mine back into production. It's a base metal mine, copper and other metals. And the idea there is that they were going to use that for the growth, to bring other deposits back into production, and they may also have new ones to produce from. And so they are, let's say, a base metal developer with a large land package and mining infrastructure, underground workings, the whole kit and caboodle. But they knew that near the Brace-McMcLeod, when they were going underground at Brace-McMcLeod, it was noted that there was a vein, a quartz vein, with gold in it. Because the Glencore was not interested in the gold, they were only interested in the base metals, they didn't really pay any attention to it. Well, not long ago, the folks went in and poked a hole approximately where they expected that quartz vein to be, and they found a quartz vein with a bunch of visible gold in it. And then they didn't even wait for those assay results to get back. They started following that up with new holes. And so, a couple new holes. And so, right now, they're awaiting assay results from that discovery hole with the quartz vein with a bunch of visible gold in it. And then they've got more drill holes that they're doing, and that material will go into the lab for assaying. So they're also going to have a lot of catalysts, not only on the gold front, but on their base metal story as well. So then when you consider that this company has only been trading since December, they have very little amount of stock out, very high insider ownership, and a very modest valuation. And so all of these things combined make Nuvau a very compelling story. I'm a shareholder in the company and a happy shareholder at that. And I think that this company has a lot of growth potential ahead of it. All right, the next company up is Argenta Silver. Argenta Silver was up 8.11% today, or 6 cents a share to 80 cents per share. I started covering the company at about 50 cents per share not too long ago, and they've done very well so far. And they're just getting really started on drilling a project that previously had about a 50 million ounce resource on it that they think is underexplored, and that they could increase that beyond 100 million ounces of silver, which is a threshold that everybody pays attention to, because a rule of thumb kind of thing, 100 million ounces gives you about 10 million ounces of annual production for 10 years. So that is a very compelling exploration target. It's very high grade. They only started trading in October of 2024. They created, here's another example of a cup. Here's the left side of the cup. Here's the bottom of the cup. Here's up the right side of the cup. And you'll notice that this right side of the cup went significantly above the left side of the cup. It only had a very shallow and short-lived handle, and onwards and upwards from there. And this company is doing a lot of drilling, and they'll have a lot of news out. And so this project is in Australia, and I'm sorry, not Australia, Argentina. That's why the AG, Argentina and AG for silver. So Argentina Silver, and the company's name is Argenta Silver. Very high grade and silver, and I think they've got an exceptional project, and I'm very bullish on the company. And do your homework on AGAG. All right. Now, another significant outperformer today was Meridian, Meridian Mining. They were up. Oh, I made a mistake here. I had a Meridian and they were down today. Nonetheless, I'm very bullish on this company. You can find the reasons why in the big show I did yesterday. But yeah, Meridian has a very good project in Brazil, and it's a high grade for an open pit type target, and they are copper gold and high grades of copper and gold for an open pit target. It's a VMS system. They got the potential to find more. I'm a big fan of the company and their assets, and take a look at Meridian. So before I close off this show, I wanted to quickly bring up some of the my major miners. I wanted to show you that on a day when gold was up about 2%, Agnico Eagle was up 3%, 3.03%, or $5.98 to $203.59. Now, I started featuring them in my report in early 2024 when they were trading at about $60 a share. So, as gold has broken out, they have significantly outperformed gold. Well, $60 to, to 203. That's a pretty big move when gold was up about 30%, 30, 40%, something like that. And so, as you can see, this is why you want to own gold mining companies that are very well run, have a low cost of production, a high grade, and very high margins, making them a free cash flow machine. And that's what happens when you get into a free cash flow machine. It gives the investor that wants to be exposed to gold with added torque and less risk. And that's what a Agnico Eagle is doing. And even on a day like today, when gold was up a couple percent, they were up 3%. So that's in a nutshell why you want to look at a company like Agnico Eagle. Another of my major gold mining picks is Newmont. Now, Newmont is not as they're sort of a new pick in April, just before they went through their golden cross. They were trading at about $45 a share. Today they traded up to $75.86. They performed right about exactly at the movement in gold. They were up 1.96% or $1.46 to $75.86. They've had a tremendous turnaround in 2025. Before that, they were an underperformer, but they had done the things that I was waiting to see them do. They sold off their non-core assets so that they could focus in on their core assets, their tier one mines, and optimize those tier one mines, which is exactly what they've done. And since they started to report that, the stock has been doing extremely well since before, just before before the Golden Cross and since the Golden Cross. And so I'm a big fan of what Newmont is doing. All right. And so my major silver miner is Pan American Silver. And Pan American Silver, let's see how they did today. They were up 1.46%, so a little less than the price of gold, 68 cents per share to $47.27. And Pan American Silver is a really torqued up way to be exposed to silver. and with less risk. They're an extremely well-run company, and the one of the premier silver majors. And I think silver is going a lot higher. And as it does, I think you'll see them significantly outperform silver. And that's why I like Pan American Silver. Okay, so now let's move into some of my mid tier. One of my mid tiers is Alamos Gold. They also, I picked them in early 2024 when they were down here at about $15 a share. They closed today at $44.08 per share, and they did their job quite dramatically. They were up 5.35% or $2.24 per share. So, that's the torque you're looking for in these well-run gold miners. And in the case of Alamos Gold, they're not nearly as well known as an Agnico Eagle or a Newmont, but they are a very good producer, very good operator. They keep their good controls on their costs. Plus, they do a very good job. They got very high grade, and they're using a lot of their free cash flow to increase their production to 1 million ounces per year and bring down their cost to well below the average cost of gold miners. And so, as you can see here, it has made a beautiful cup and handle. There's the left side of the cup at about $43 per share, had a very shallow bottom of the cup, and has now broken out. And it's broken out well above the left side of the cup and handle. I love to see this kind of action because it's onwards and upwards from here. And that's the Agnico or the Alamos Gold story. Another mid tier, I mentioned them earlier, and Aris Mining, they were up 1% today, 12 cents to 12.07. I really love this breakout that they've recently made. And they got a great mine down in Colombia called Segovia and other mines that they're building. And they're run by a guy who's done it before, built companies from small producers into mid tiers and bigger. And I think they're going to do it again with Aris Mining. They're making a lot of money mining gold in Colombia, and I think they've got a very bright future ahead of them. All right, the final company today is Orla Mining. Orla was up 3.30% today, or 50 cents a share, to $15.66. I'll note here that when I've been talking about them recently, that they've broken above their 50-day moving average. And now that gold is making new record highs, I think that they're going to break out from this sideways movement in the price or in the 50-day moving average and start trending upwards again. And I'm a big fan of their Camino Rojo project in a mine in Mexico. They also bought from Newmont the Musselwhite mine when Newmont was selling off their non-core assets. What is a non-core asset for a company the size of Newmont, it's actually a very core asset for a company the size of Orla. And then they've got another project that they're developing in Nevada that's recently had some important permits. And so, yeah, I think they've got a lot of great catalysts ahead of them. And have a look at Orla Mining. So there you go, folks. I wanted to bring to you some outperformers, some Midland performers, and talk about gold today because it had such a fantastic day and had a really important breakout, just like silver. And I think that they're both going a lot higher. I don't want to go into that reasoning now. I did a big show yesterday that you can find on my YouTube channel at just do a search for Rocks and Stocks News on YouTube and you'll find that show from yesterday. And yeah, that's my show for today. Have a great day. do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, and we'll talk to you soon.